You're tuned in to Get Right Fantasy.
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, friends? Daniel Dopp here from the Fantasy Focused Football Podcast over on ESPN.
It's Fab, so you're Michael Fabiano from Sports Illustrated.
You know who you can trust? If you've got some questions about your fantasy squad,
Want to check out a cool show on YouTube that'll help you get ready for the fantasy football season?
check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network. If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Head on over to YouTube. Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network because they're doing everything they can to make you a better fantasy player.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You're tuned in to Get Right Fantasy.
What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, friends of the show? Welcome in to Get Right Fantasy Network. It's our Friday night show. Let's answer some live questions, talk some start sits, and as always, you got hosting the show, Kendall Vanderbilt over here of the Fantasy Football Tavern, and my good buddy, you know him from Chicago, big Bears lover over here, the one and only Evan Sather. Evan, how we doing tonight, my friend?
Great, Kendall. Great to see you guys again, too. Unfortunately, Mike cannot be with us tonight. Classic Mike is dealing with the responsibilities of that first child, so he'll need a bit of a break, rightfully so, too. I can only imagine how exhausting a child can be as somebody who actually has no children himself. I do my best to sympathize with the both of you, Kendall.
Hey, we appreciate, man, all the T's and P's we can get out there, man. We certainly need it. But yeah, be thinking of Mike as him and his wife enjoy their wonderful new baby. Hit him up, slip him in DMs. Maybe he'll show you some very, very adorable pictures. But yeah, he's gonna be such a good dad. I always look at him. He's got such dad energy when he wasn't even a dad quite yet. So I think he's gonna be awesome. Well, hopefully his lineups don't suffer. I can tell you from personal experience, I tend to have my kids during the fantasy, like later in the season or the playoffs. Despite being very sleep deprived, you do have reasonable amounts of time to like check your phone, and family knows to leave you alone. So he should be pretty sharp, have a little extra time. We'll have to see. Make sure to get those questions in. If you can't stick around too long, but you would like an answer to your question, make sure to hop into our Discord. It's free. It's awesome. Good community. Super wholesome, a lot of degenerates in there. But we're often in there answering pretty in-depth, a lot of text, a lot of opinion. Good place where we can answer your questions if you can't make the entire show. So we appreciate it. Without Mike, we do not have a big, long slate of injuries to go through because I'm a little bit lazy and I did not prep the sheet. Mike is such a busy bee, works really hard behind the scenes. So that being said, me and Evan have a pretty categoric knowledge of what's going on in fantasy football, having to set our own lineups, trying to win a couple titles. I know my redraft season could have been a little bit better. Maybe that's like a lightning round topic. Like what's your, I'd love to hear, cause I know I'm having some early regrets to the point I'm on the other side of it in redraft. I knew by like week 3 where I messed up and I've had to live with it since then. I can be at peace with it. I think I made enough good calls. I didn't have a bad year making calls. My middle rounds were awesome, but I knew I made some mistakes. Evan, let's while we get some questions in the chat, in your own leagues, in how you drafted, we'll go redraft. This is mostly a redraft show. What were a couple of the portfolio-wide, nailed this, missed on this? What were some of where Evan was right, where Evan was wrong in redraft?
So maybe this sounds a bit too cocky to say, but I don't believe I truly made any like genuine mistakes in my draft when I grabbed everybody that I did. I suppose the closest one I can think of in my 10-team PPR league is drafting Baker Mayfield as my QB1, which he did have the hot start, so I didn't feel like I was wrong right away. But with the state of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, thank goodness somebody dropped Dak Prescott, because I was able to get him when Kyler Murray was not working out, because Kyler Murray decided that he's too good to work hard in the NFL, and as he's paying the price as a result, they're not rushing to get him back out there, the Cardinals. So at least I got Dak Prescott. I punted a little bit at at wide receiver in that draft. This league let me have all these amazing running backs between Devon Achane, Saquon Barkley, James Cook, Travis Etienne. Who else did I get? I think I had to drop J.K. Dobbins. I had all those guys on my team at one point, and everybody was just going for other wide receivers and whatnot. I kind of punted at wide receiver a bit, but I still had Zay Flowers and Garrett Wilson, but maybe we'll talk a bit about Garrett Wilson a little later. My 18 PPR redraft league, I don't really feel like I made any big mistakes in that one either. I just had a lot of matchups just not work out. And that's just the way it goes sometimes, you know?
Yeah, sometimes you got to win the lovely award of most points against. She's a cruel mistress, that one. That'll get there. Well, hey, I'll just let you know. You know, the crazy thing was, and I don't know if this happens to you, sometimes I had it for the first time this offseason where I spent my draft season, I should say. I spent more time than I ever had in history analyzing the draft for Dynasty, trying to figure out draft strategy for redraft. But you spend so much time like locked in that world and looking at every analyst's stuff out there, kind of sampling what you like and dislike, comparing your own thoughts against it. You get so familiar with the trendy players that by the time the draft rolled around, the actual draft, I like sat back, had a beer, and hated every cool pick that I liked. I just wanted to go against everything I had been researching, essentially, because I was sick of it. So I made some fun picks that I didn't prep for out of absolutely nowhere, out of just being like tired. And so I ended up with Genty, who I basically said probably shouldn't go with Genty. And I did a bunch of BTJ kind of for fun because I was going to go more Puka. And, well, that would have made me a lot more money. But thankfully I didn't preach either. So that kind of screwed over a lot. But the mid-round wide receivers is really where I've been making my hay lately. It was definitely in on Rome early. Egbuka was a huge one for us. I think Ricky Pearsall would have been a huge hit. He was one of my guys. Injury derailed him, but I think we've seen enough that it probably would have paid off, especially with what happened with Ayuk not coming back. But yeah, a couple ones. I was wrong about Josh Downs. Absolutely missed that one. I was in on Downs over Pittman, but I still like the player. But
I'm pretending like I was never wrong about Josh Downs, despite being on when I talked up Josh Downs a lot when I used to be on the Optimus fantasy team. So being that I didn't say anything about Josh Downs here on this channel, I'm just pretending like, no, that wasn't me. No, I never said anything about Josh Downs being great. Why do you guys ask?
Super fun, right? Because you get to jump in and I'm the Josh Downs guy. Everyone knows me in all of our mock drafts as the like, hey, we got to take Downs because it'll screw over Kendall and he will be angry odd stream, right? So you're all good. You can just blame me. You just got to stay in the shadow. When I'm like really in the flames on a take, I'm gonna die on that hill. Yeah, it was apparently I just can't get the Colts right because it was Anthony Richardson before that I was pretty spiced up about. So
yeah, for real.
But hey, we'll just kind of hit the questions as they go, maybe, and we'll find fun stuff that we want to talk about in between and that kind of a thing. I'm not really sure where holiday travels and things are going, seasonality. Who knows what's going on around the YouTube world, but we'll see what we get tonight. Big, cool friend of mine. He is a doctor, by the way. Just FYI, Dr. Ken, real doctor, cool dude. Would love to buy him a beer one of these days. Has a question about Swift. Well, you came to the right guys here. If nothing, we're going to be opinionated. Dr. Ken says, do y'all think Swift will play? And if so, do you think they will have him on a snap count? If active, will you start him, or are you thinking about pivoting to Kyle Monangai? What do you think?
So I'm not concerned about DeAndre Swift at this point. He usually always has a ticky-tack injury, like a groin pull. If I'm not mistaken, I think he had a groin issue too last year, and he played through it all. So no, I'm not concerned about Swift. I think he'll continue splitting with Kyle Monangai, depending on game script. They're gonna have quite the interesting time trying to break down that tough Green Bay rush defense. Being that they've actually gotten good at stopping the run, which the Packers were not good at stopping the run in the past. They finally got good at it over the last couple of years, but they suck at defending the pass, so that will be fun to see how many guys we can target in this offense with no Rome Odunze and no Luther Burden. So, no, I think DeAndre Swift will play.
Yep, I agree. He has a history of playing through injury versus letting the injury kind of play him. He's playing better now that he has real competition. So I think the looming threat of every snap I'm not on the field gets given to someone else probably puts a little bit of an extra fire under his belly, plus the competitive season they're having. No running back in an NFL team that's ranked number 1 in rushing in the NFL is going to know. Like, DeAndre Swift is the RB1 on the best rushing team in the NFL. He probably wants to hang on to that. This is the best he's looked in a long time. This is the most valued he's been looked at, broad spectrum, both NFL fans, fantasy fans, right, in some time. I don't think I don't think that's lost on him in a big matchup. What Chicago Bears player doesn't know, like, this is the Packers matchup? I expect both teams to play incredibly hard against each other. Like, out of all rivals, like, these are Midwestern teams that, like, forget the media and the press. Like, they're going to go to war and forget the outside world exists during this game. And it's why people that aren't like NFC North guys still love the Bears Packers rivalry and think football is better when the Bears and Packers are both good and playing each other often.
Definitely. So, and you know what else helps too? A good offensive line. Something the Bears have not had in I don't even remember how long. Probably since we had Olin Kreutz starting at center. That's how long it's been since we've had a good offensive line.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's been, what's that, the Matt Forte days?
Yeah, like the tail end of the beginning of the 2010s. I think it's been at least 12 or 13 years since we last had a good offensive line as a whole unit. And that's been helping Swift and Monungai tremendously.
Yeah, I agree. I agree a lot. So, the Bears are definitely in a spot too where Monungai is very capable, right? In a spot where I don't think we're super at risk of missing the playoffs right away. And I don't think we have a coach that, thank God, does not play scared, right? He's not a crazy person, but he doesn't play scared. If he needed to sit Swift, I think he would. I don't think he's a running back. I don't say running back whisperer, but he kind of is. I trust our head coach. If he's playing Swift, he's planning on playing him. He's probably going to play pretty well. Yep. I'm with you. Should be an interesting game. I hope we get some more questions about it later on with the injury to Parsons.
Yeah. And by the way, thank you all for tuning in so far. I know it's week 16 and a lot of people start to burn out at this time of year, and they might have, if you're eliminated from the playoffs, you're probably not tuning into as many fantasy shows. So we definitely thank you guys for tuning in tonight, because hopefully you're in a league where your consolation bracket matters too. Not that we want you to go there. We want you to be in your championship bracket.
Yeah, hey, dude, amen. I also thought that was the case this time of year. It definitely let more people just kind of angry turn into something else. So it should make it interesting though, because the questions I'm thinking about right now, like selfishly, I'm worried about the leagues I'm in and those players and what we got going on. So appreciate it, Dr. Ken. Finding Neno. Now I know this person from a couple of my leagues. It's always interesting because like the name on in chat is always a little bit different than on Sleeper. Sometimes you're like, wait, I got to put 2 and 2 together. I know
right.
Where leagues. Am I playing you this week? I know we've got some chat going on. Finding Neno. Opponent had Puka, so needs ceiling plays. Why we got Puka on Thursday, right? We got a 45 ball dropped on us, and we are doing some start sits. Would you start Gadsden, tight end, Chargers, over Jalen Waddle, Finns with the new quarterback change, for the chance at a higher ceiling? And Finding Neno, if you're hanging around, could you let us know if there's any tight end premium here that we should be worried about? We're going to assume PPR.
I'm going to assume. Yeah, I'll assume that this is just some vanilla, regular fantasy football league with 12 teams, and it's just PPR, and there's nothing special to it. I would not start Oronde Gadsden over Jalen Waddle. I know that everybody's starting to freak out about Quinn Ewers, but let's be honest, Tua Tagovailoa was not exactly doing a good job hitting Jalen Waddle either without Tyreek Hill out there. So worrying about Quinn Ewers being able to connect with Jalen Waddle is kind of a moot point, being that he's going to need a top wide receiver to throw the ball to outside of Darren Waller as a safety blanket. And Ewers does not look that bad out there. In the limited action he's seen way back on week 7 against the Browns when they were blown out by the Browns, he connected on 5 of 8 passes for 53 yards, and that was a ball about all we could get out of 21% of the snaps. The offensive line sucks, so he'll have to hurry up and get rid of the ball, and that's where Devon Achane is going to come in, where The Cincinnati Bengals are not exactly good at stopping the run or stopping the pass, unlike the Cleveland defense. Well, not that Cleveland's defense is good at this point in the season, but they were good to start off. Anyway, yeah, I'm fine with Jalen Waddle over Oronde Gadsden, being that there's just too many mouths to feed in that Chargers offense. Gadsden is definitely the future at tight end in this offense, but we got to wait for guys like Keenan Allen to retire, and we got to see what the Chargers want to do with guys like Quentin Johnston in the future, and Ladd McConkey looks like he's there to stay. So this is not exactly the Gadsden year, but you can make a case to flex Gadsden if you don't have anybody better on your bench as like a tight end 2 with upside. But that's not going to change my mind over Jalen Waddle. I would still rather start him.
Yeah, so I'm going to answer in a similar fashion here, finding. My general take when we're just trying to solve the how do we get max upside, we are erasing all downside. I'm looking at like offensive tendencies here. I don't have stats pulled up. This is pure eye test and feel. I think most people will generally agree. Curious what you think, Evan. I don't see the Chargers as a team. Herbert historically has liked tight end. He throws a lot more touchdowns to him. But in recent memory this season, in the red zone, I think they've gone many other directions. Outside of like, you're not seeing a lot of, random tight end 2 touchdowns or this and that. They like the run game a lot. Clearly, I mean, Hampton back means he has got such a huge percentage of the red zone looks with it inside 10. Ladd's got a nice eye for it. Again, your too many mouths thing is also, I would negate that if it was one of those, like Dallas Goedert sometimes feels unstartable, except for like he's outrageous in the red zone. Occasionally we have these tight ends who are just touchdown mongers, right? And Gadsden doesn't seem to be used that way. He seems to be used more like an athletic wide receiving weapon mismatch guy at tight end where he can make the middle of the field work, but not so much working as a red zone weapon. In fact, when I remember watching him, I kind of made this mini prediction in my head and thought from a dynasty perspective, I should have this in my head. He had this big game and he was targeted often in the red zone. I think he only came down with 1 touchdown the week I'm thinking of, but I know there was another one where everyone caught on to it. It's like, okay, we're going to use Gadsden. We're going to start guarding him. Other people are become more open. I'm like, well, as soon as Gadsden becomes a known thing and then the opposing defense is accounting for him, I don't necessarily know that it makes sense for the team to really go back to back with him. He hasn't had a 2 touchdown game this year, I don't think. Not seeing enough looks. I need him to be more like a Darren Waller is a type of guy where he's an insane red zone guy. Just caught 2 touchdown passes like a week off of injury, right? Which it shouldn't happen, but he's that guy, right? Gadsden's not the 2 touchdown guy. That offense isn't the 2 passing touchdown offense to a tight end right now. So for all of those reasons, as disgusting as it is, like the quarterback play is not going down nearly enough. I'm not saying I'm predicting a Jacoby Brissett, but I mean, can it be any worse for Jalen Waddle? How many big plays has he pulled off this year? He's had such a crazy career, right? If he went from PPR monster to then he started doing the longer touches to this current form where it's all Devon Achane and he's unstartable sometimes. I don't know. I think he gets back to the player he's closer to.
Yeah, I mean, I still would rather start Waddle at this point because, Ewers is definitely going to want to... This is a good week to start Dolphins at 2 because the Cincinnati defense sucks. Whereas the Chargers, they are playing against a Dallas Cowboys defense, which also sucks. But they're also good at stopping the run, which is not going to... Well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say they're good at it. They're just okay at it. They got some talent up front with trading for Quinnen Williams and whoever the hell else they have left on their defensive line. But, I mean, that's going to be tougher for Marion Hampton. But, Trey Harris got 5 targets last week, which is the same as what he got against the Dolphins back in week 6. So, yeah, he's starting to get fed out there. Johnston, we don't know if he's going to be available. Keenan Allen missed practice on Wednesday, but I think that's just, old man management. And then Ladd McConkey is having trouble getting open because defenses are just planning for him. And Oronde Gadsden didn't get more than 2 targets against an easy Raiders defense. I don't want to trust Gadsden rest of season. I think he just needs some more reps on the field before being a trustworthy tight end. Like I said, he's definitely the future for the Chargers, but yeah, I'm still starting Waddle. So now that we're talking about Waddle, Kendall, I kind of wanted to transition into the offensive situation for the Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa has officially been benched in Miami. Now Quinn Ewers is starting at quarterback. Zach Wilson is number 2. And it's being that they sunk Tua to quarterback 3, I think they're done with him. And this offense is going to look a hell of a lot different without Tua Tagovailoa if they could get rid of him. But he's also in the middle of a big contract, and he would cost $99.2 million to cut next year. I don't see how the Dolphins move on from him.
Yeah, it's tough, right? It's a tough question to ask because there's 2 questions we could answer with, right? We could answer the what would I do? What should they do? And there's trying to get in the heads of a team whose front office is a little storied for not making the best decisions. I mean, no one thought they should pay Tua, let alone pay him that much. Right. I think the majority, you just flip on fantasy football, X or social media of choice, honestly, across the board, the entire community was like, nah, man, the shouty shows were like questionable. I mean, they all kind of knew. So it's hard to make a prediction on what will happen. The dynasty angle of like what will happen with it. I feel like my take is always going to be on what should they do. And I just don't know what percentage chance they are. I agree with you on it's clearly painful. And I think they're looking for answers. I think this is a very fluid situation because I think it's going to heavily depend on, like, dude, how startable is this Quinn kid, right? Like,
yeah, and Quinn Ewers was a 7th-round pick. This young man has nothing to lose. I would not be surprised to see him air it out against this porous Bengals defense against the pass. Like, I don't see why they don't just set Quinn Ewers loose, right?
And Evan, you got to think of it too, right? If you're Quinn, right? Who are you playing behind from day one, right? Are you playing behind Mahomes? Are you playing behind Stafford, right? A Dak, someone who your mindset, going into every week, going into daily, going into practice is like, how do I learn to be like that guy? But you're not prepping yourself for taking their job. You're not getting ready for like, I'm ready to play in a game, right? You're just not there. You're in student mode. You're not ready to grab the chalk and walk up to the whiteboard like you got it. Quinn's sitting behind Tua when he was drafted. Okay. He's seen what's happening. We all know about Tua's injury history. There is no way, unless Quinn is a complete psychopath or just not the guy. And I mean, when I say not the guy, I don't mean an NFL quarterback. I mean, you can be a dog competitor as a human being and not quite the NFL talent level, but you can still play good in a game or two, right? If he's got enough of a dog in him, and I think maybe he could, I'll give him the same chance as anybody else does. He's been playing behind Tua every practice this year. You've got to think he's been waiting for a chance. He's probably been analyzing the ones and what he could do with them, probably falling asleep at night thinking about it. If anyone's got a chance, maybe he's going to make some bad mistakes, but can he make some big plays too? He's got enough guys to do it. I'm not going to say, oh, you've got the guys, right? You've got all the weapons. You don't have nothing, though. You got like the fastest running back I've ever seen who catches as many balls as Christian McCaffrey. You got a top 10 NFL draft pick in Waddle, who is quite good on any given day. He's good when he plays, right? Just sometimes he's injured, which is half the time, but he's healthy right now, today, right? There's enough there. We'll see. I'm curious. And they're playing a team that honestly is falling apart too. So could be.
I love that I brought up this topic and then all of a sudden, 5 questions. And I'm like, dang it, I really wanted to talk about this, but we got to get to these questions too. I mean, that's why we're here.
Yeah, no, you don't want to talk more Dolphins and really bring the energy up? Yeah, no, let's get it. What's up? I blame Perk. Full PPR, as always. Flex 2. Pick 2 out of 3 here. Breece Hall, Jacoby Myers, or Brian Thomas Jr. So 2 guys, same team, and Breece Hall. We got a Flex 2, full PPR.
I'm going to let you go first because I need to think about this for a bit.
Yeah, so I'm just going to talk it out loud a little bit. I haven't liked Breece's, just his overall share of the offense. They seem to be very hardcore pivoting to trying out their new weapons, seeing what they got. His snap share's down. His usage is down when they're losing. The targets aren't there. That's huge for me. This is PPR, and PPR when I have a questionable running back, right? That's not auto start level. And I have serviceable wide receivers, tend to lean to the serviceable wide receivers. He's got to worry about less if they're consistent target earners. At this point in time, I do think they're both consistent target earners. I know BTJ was shaky, but he passed the eye test and on the field with Jacoby. He is playing well, so is the entire team. So Jacoby's my easy in, and then I'm between Brees Hall and BTJ. I think I'm just going Jacoby and BTJ. Like Brees has to like score 20 out of absolutely nowhere, and he absolutely might. Maybe I'm being dumb here, but I think the Jets are so bad that I'm just. What are the chances that Brees Hall gets vultured at the goal line? I think it's pretty high. I think they've got other running backs they could use. It doesn't have to be Brees. And for that reason alone, the fact that they might just not give him the goal line and there might not be any goal line to be had. Yeah, you know what? I'm not thinking of the matchup. I just now realized, I mean, they have the Broncos. I mean, this is legitimately the Broncos. Why wasn't I thinking about the Broncos at first? That's bad for BTJ. Jacoby is still in for me. BTJ is not consistent against the NFL's best. He can get rattled. The QB can get rattled. I don't think that's something that's worth mentioning in a team that has a running back now. Yeah, it being the Broncos could absolutely destroy this game. I'm not going to bet on Trevor Lawrence against the Broncos for any pass catcher. It's a Trevor Lawrence against the Broncos situation that's going to tie break it for me to Brees Hall. And I'm not thinking of points per game, just to let you guys in on my personal philosophy. This is more of I try to think in terms of tiers, and I feel like there's similar tiers for me, but Brees is going to get a tiebreaker in how I'm looking at this tier with the defensive matchup and what that could do. I don't know. Do you agree? I know I kind of just waffled and changed my mind mid-pick there, but
it's a tough question because these are not ideal matchups for any of these players. I blame Pierce. So I lean more toward Brees Hall and Jacoby Myers because they are facing a Saints defense that just can't stop anything. So this should be a lot easier for Brees compared to Jacksonville, who are surprisingly underrated at stopping the run. So being that the Jets are in the mess that they're in, I don't think Brees is going to lose his job unless his knee injury is worse than the Jets were leading us all on to believe. But I think I have to go Brees and Jacoby to play it safe, being that this Denver secondary is no joke. And I could see Denver blowing out the Jaguars to cap off week 17 because I don't hate the Jaguars, but I think Jacoby Myers is the preferred start over Brian Thomas, being that their cornerbacks are just too tough. So I want to go Brees Hall in there, and then if I have to pick a wide receiver, Jacoby's doing better with Trevor Lawrence than Brian Thomas Jr. is. So those are my options. I hope it works out for you. I blame Pierce.
Yeah, I did too. So we ended up agreeing. And I'll just end with this. I think there's, I don't know, Evan, maybe you agree. Sometimes I think we fall trap to the Vegas makes money off of us for thinking this way when we think two teams that we call quote unquote good because they have good records. And I don't think either of these teams are bad. We think offense usually because if they have a good offense, they probably led to the good record, right? I see plenty of worlds where these defensive oriented teams, the Jags, the Broncos, this could absolutely be, a field goal fest, a defensive fest. The Broncos played one on Thursday night, a couple weeks back, where I forget who they played, but it was just one of those. It was like the dirty, grimy, no one from fantasy did anything game in typical Broncos fashion. I could see that happening again. And I could see it happening with in this Jags game where all of a sudden the offense stalls for both. I know that's not a great Jacoby take, but I do think the Broncos defense has shut down better players than anyone here. So help.
Can I list the DraftKings odds right now? Jacksonville at Denver is 305 Central on Sunday, and they have Denver at -3.5. So they think it could potentially be a relatively close game, which would go into your narrative, Kendall, about this being a field goal fest.
Yeah, because you think it could be more. If they're going to keep the margin low, yeah. 3.5 still tell. I think it should be closer than 3.5. Honestly, that's kind of interesting. Interesting, but yeah, I think we still end up in the same spot. Jacoby's the best wide receiver here. Brees Hall. We downgraded BTJ enough.
Yeah, I mean, usually these lines are close, except for Buffalo at Cleveland and Las Vegas at Houston. Like those are. Buffalo is -10.5 and Houston is -14.5. Like, which teams are giving up for the season too.
Yeah, fair. I just really thought Vegas would give the Jags a little bit more credit because the Broncos aren't really blowing the doors off of too many people. That's interesting. I at first glance that told me, oh, Vegas doesn't really like the Jags that much. I don't know why I thought 2.5 instead of 3.5, but you live and you learn.
That's a lot closer than I'd like, in my opinion. But anyway, best of luck, Lightbane Pierce. World of Jesus.
World of Jesus, yeah. Yo, lost Rice and Mahomes right before the fantasy championship, right? It's 2 weeks. Okay, so it's 2-week championship. Got to start one. Looking like versus Miami, so that's not T. Higgins. That's gonna be Jaden Higgins, right?
No, that will be T. Higgins.
Oh, it's T. Higgins. Yeah. So T. Higgins if he plays.
I say Rashard Higgins. Oh, he's definitely in the NFL.
Yeah, dude. I have so many double Higgins teams too, man. It's it does make setting your lineup something you gotta be aware of. Wandale versus Min, Justin Jefferson versus the Giants. Got to start one here. So T. Higgins, Wandale, Justin Jefferson, lost Rice and Mahomes. So probably playing for some upside is what I'm saying. It sounds like he's a streaming quarterback. So probably losing some PPG there. And Rice means we're dipping into the bench a little bit early. So probably we'll give it a little bit of weight towards upside in your pick.
So I will say that an early answer for you. I'm hoping this is a PPR league, just because I personally don't believe in anything less. But I think you have to try and start all three if you can. So, but you have to start one in this case. I don't know what the rest of your team looks like, World of Jesus, but if you have to pick absolutely one, your best bet, I think, would be Wan'Dale Robinson, being that he is the wide receiver one in that offense. And the Minnesota Vikings cannot stop the pass. They have one of the worst secondaries in the league. They're not far behind the Dallas Cowboys in how awful their secondary is. So if you have to pick one, I got to go Wan'Dale here. I never thought I'd ever say that, considering the talent that T. Higgins and Justin Jefferson have. But if in an ideal team, I would love to start all three of them.
So I think I'm maybe a little bit more. I've got a spicy end take here, but the first thing is T is not in consideration. You can't start T. He is a breath of air away from being out of this game. They're out of playoff contention. It does them no good to like be on the side of I'll let him play. I mean, he could be like a sneeze away from not playing the rest of that game. It's a suicidal play to start T. Higgins. Even if they say he's totally fine, bullshit. It's T. Higgins. Anyone who's owned T. Higgins in chat absolutely is with me on this. And this is hell no. We've been here way too many times before. I have owned him for years. I have lived this life. And I know the Bengals better than I ever thought I would because of owning this damn guy. And I was big on Chase Brown. Me and Phil were the biggest, like, seriously, Chase Brown's going to win leagues. And it's one of our best takes we've had.
Kendall, I was just about to make a really bad I hurt my ribs joke after a sneeze, but somebody in the chat probably has done that before. So I don't want to be the jackass here making fun of somebody that I can't see.
Dude, that's fair. That is totally fair. But anyway, that's just my T owners out there. Dude, I'm pivoting to literally anybody. And I'm not kidding. I'll go John Mechie over T. It's just you cannot start T. Higgins. You can't.
John Mechie, holy shit.
Dude, T. Higgins for me has a 50% chance to score less than 2 fantasy points. That's just my honest opinion.
Even against the Baltimore, even against Miami secondary?
Even against a college football team. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that he is, when you catch the ball, unless you score a touchdown, you are tackled, right? I said he is a sneeze away from being out. He has to be tackled by a 250-pound NFL player in order to be taken down. I don't like the odds that he survives that hit with his current record and how little the Bengals seem to give a shit. The Bengals as a team don't seem to care about their players. I wouldn't be surprised if the players stopped caring about the team. You know what I mean? There's such bad vibes around that game, that situation. I'm not about it. Burrow doesn't want to play football anymore. That's kind of a problem. Who says Burrow stays healthy and plays the rest of that game? There's just a lot of I'm out on T. If he has a big game, fine. I'm out. That being said, I would agree Wan'Dale 99% of the time. I'm going to call it, though.
Are you going Jefferson?
I'm going Jefferson. I'm going Jefferson for one specific reason. I'm a Dynasty guy. Dynasty guys believe in a couple of things that are just above all stats, follow the money. It talks, right? End of season, out of playoff contention teams. This is a big lesson for a lot of people that don't play Dynasty a lot too. Look at the contract incentives. You cannot Google this. There's no good site that does it. No one pays enough to pay anyone to look this up. You just kind of have to know. In Dynasty circles, you just get tribal knowledge over time. Justin Jefferson absolutely has contract incentives for 1,000-yard seasons, this and that's all baked into all this stuff, right? The team, I believe it was a press conference. Don't know if it was major or minor, but I know they said it was a big. And if they didn't say it, I would still be doing this take. I didn't need to hear the press conference. This is something I'm looking at specifically when we talk about like Aaron Jones for the Packers is someone I'm leaning towards starting because of the veteran incentives and the team wanting to make sure their veteran leaders get theirs and get their contract incentives. They're going to get Justin Jefferson or they're going to die trying to 1,000 yards because it's embarrassing for him not to. And I'm telling you, he could have 18 targets. He might catch 7 of them, maybe. But I think they're going to do everything in their power to not care about winning the game, but care about taking care of Justin Jefferson. I have a feeling it starts this week.
So World of Jesus also clarifies that that their starting lineup has 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. They have Michael Wilson in the other wide receiver spot and Travion in the flex, which leads me to wonder, who the hell are your running backs, my man, if you have Travion flexing?
Wow. Yeah. Whew. I mean, a 10 team gets that way, man. Or 12 team when you just smashed, right? We're on round 2 of the playoffs, right? So all these teams should be windmill smashes, right? Sometimes lucky, sometimes skill, hopefully both. Yeah, shoot, man, that's super tricky.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say I'm going Wandale, Kendall's going Jefferson. So, and you got Achane and Chase. I still can't stand Chase Brown despite his usefulness in the passing game, but he is facing against the Dolphins defense that can't stop anything. So you pretty much have to start him at this point.
Yep. Yeah, I was looking down at it too. That's oh man. I mean, is it worth talking about? Like
One thing I will say though about running backs from the same matchup, I say this in DFS a lot too. I do not like dueling running backs because oftentimes what happens is that one running back goes off, but then the other one doesn't. And then you're going to wish you had started the other guy instead. And it's not often where you have both running backs prevail in a game like this. But being that it's Cincy and Miami where both teams are already out of the playoffs and neither one can stop the run, I think it's fine to start Chase and Achane, but under normal circumstances, I do not like dueling running backs. What do you think, Kendall?
Normally, I don't. This is the one case like in history where you're going to find reverse positive correlation, which is like I totally see the who can pass to their running back better. Like I very much think that both of these teams are going to have 7 to 8 targets for their running backs because they pass through the air in this fashion. And I actually think it's a weird way where like one team does it, so the other team's going to do it and try to do it better. Like I really do think it's why I do agree that Chase Brown probably over Travion, just because I think Chase Brown's going to catch just a million passes from Burrow. Burrow shouldn't be trying to take hits. He should be checking down. Like Burrow should. I don't think Burrow's really thinking about the deep shot. I think the check down makes more sense for him. The team should be telling him to check it down versus taking a season-ending hit or something crazy. Achane's the only thing in the offense. Yeah, I like it in this particular case. Agree with you. Wouldn't always. I don't want to get too deep into it. 10 team, like we have to split hairs with great teams. Yeah. We just can't go deep on 10 team. No matter what we pick, it's going to be a really, really hard decision. So anyway, you got my spicy Justin Jefferson take. Eventually he's going to have a good game. I'm calling it this week. I'm just throwing it out there. Normally I'm a big Wandale guy. If you go Wandale to be a little safer, I ain't going to hate you for it. Let's get on to Galaxy Pickers. Good friend of the show. Love seeing him on here. Hope you're having a great Friday night, my friend. Picker says, nervous about Woody Marks for his flex spot. Should he stick with Woody if healthy? Or should he go with Audric Estime, Diggs, Coker, or Goddard? He already had JSN and Cody Parkinson play.
I am perfectly fine with flexing Goddard because he gets enough volume in this passing game, and he is somebody that Jalen Hurts wants to feed, which he has shown throughout most of this season. Started the season with 7 targets, 9 and 11 in weeks 5 and 6. 6 targets in week 10, 10 targets in week 14, and then 7 targets in week 15. And this is against a Washington Commander defense that is pretty much depleted. They can't really stop a lot anymore. So you can absolutely make a case to start Dallas Goedert over Woody Marks. Houston is not really going to have a difficult time running the football, and especially if they get up early over the Raiders, they're going to have to feed somebody the football. Woody Marks is not necessarily playing 100% either, which has me a little worried because he's definitely playing through that ankle injury. So if you have to go with somebody else over Woody Marks in the flex, I'm going Goddard here.
It's close for me. Goddard was my immediate, probably the most consistent. It helps that he's got a really nice red zone usage. Sometimes in these situations, pickers, right, we can default to the RB1 fill-in because there's that touchdown correlation, and oftentimes that's enough. But Goddard really has that high touchdown correlation.
He's a big red zone target for the Eagles. And
he is big.
Galaxy Pickers also mentions that the opponent played Kyron Williams already and also starting Shug at quarterback. Didn't know if starting Estime could cap that possible upside. No, I don't think starting Audric Estime is a good idea unless you're absolutely out of running backs to start. Estime is just not that good of an NFL running back. I don't care if he's playing the Jets defense. He's going to be probably splitting a lot more carries with Evan Hull than he should be. And I don't think the running game for New Orleans is going to be good. If Estime falls in the end zone, hey, cool. But he doesn't have enough talent and upside to make me want to start him over somebody like Woody Marks. So I got to say, go Goddard. The other unrelated thing I'll tell you too, Galaxy Pickers, every time I see your avatar, I know it's a clock with a cool background on it, but from a distance, it looks like a hamburger from like my peripheral vision, and it always makes me hungry. So just wanted to tell you that for the record.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm with you. This is a close one for me, to be honest. The only thing I'll say is I don't think I'm going Woody Marks. I'm actually pretty seriously concerned for the injury. I'm also concerned that I'm not like super nervous about Jawar Jordan, but I'm nervous enough that they have other backs they can go to, and a second back now that's proven. Woody Marks was already not scoring enough touchdowns or getting enough passes. He was a volume play, so he like should Tony Pollard at some point and get in the end zone and break a big one, right? The challenge is now you're starting to spread it a little thin. They got options. They should exercise them. They should look at them. They have. Why would you give a guy who we're questioning is actually going to play 20 carries? It just doesn't seem like the smartest thing for a defensive-minded, smart head coach to do. So I really think that the Woody Marks upside is pretty much gone, whether he plays or not. It should be there. But I own Woody Marks everywhere. I've researched all the matchups, and every matchup he should smash. He just kind of does okay. And their O-line's bad enough that they tend to kind of need this quick passing thing where if they really need to get a touchdown or get a first down, they just can't get it on the ground. They know it. So if they can lean more towards the quick passing game, I think they're going to try to. So I'm anti-Woody Marks. I'm with you. Estime has not been a great NFL running back. I'm local here to Notre Dame, so I've plenty heard of Audric Estime before. I think he's in a decent spot, to be honest, where he could get heavy volume. And much like the Devin Neal had a couple of touchdowns where it just kind of happened. I do think he's actually in a pretty good spot. I've never been an Evan Hull guy. I had him in a few spots in Dynasty because I had to as a handcuff situation. I paid enough attention to him to know that over the years, he's really not an NFL back. I don't like... with what I know of Evan Hull, I don't see him as a viable steal touches away from Audric Estime player. It's not a pro Estime take, but it's more of a tough part is I like Devin Neal. I played Devin Neal, picked him up, advertised him on the show because I thought he'd be good with the situation. I like Devin Neal more than I like Audric Estime from a scouting perspective, right? So I'm not saying Estime is good. I just think the matchup's a little bit better. Goddard has to be safer on a better offense, though, right? So I'm going to go Goddard. If you need... I don't want to waffle 100 times. I'm just going to say Goddard and Estime are like an actual razor thin coin flip for me. I'll stay in the flames with Goddard. Part of me is thinking no team is going to do Goddard back-to-back double touchdowns in the end zone. They're gonna guard it. They're gonna look for it. So that has me wanting to pivot. Goddard's probably fine. The chance that Goddard scores you 10 points is just too high. Estime has to get in the end zone to get more. I'm gonna finally agree with Goddard.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to change my mind on this either. I want nothing to do with Estime unless I am just genuinely out of running backs to start in an RB slot. So unless you don't have any better running backs to play, I'm not starting Estime. I'm keeping him on the bench.
Yeah. Close, man. Close. Perk back again. Another league, full PPR, flex one. Wait, T-Mac. So this is what Tet wants to be called. I'm never going to call him Tet because T-Mac is taken. It's taken. T-Mac's already taken. I don't care. I know he doesn't like being called Tet. That's totally fine. My kids don't like waking up on time. And you guys are like, about the same book. All right. So Tet, Scary Terry, Egbuka, or BTJ. You got to flex one here. Who are you going with?
Oh, I don't want to go Brian Thomas against that tough Denver secondary, which we kind of talked about at the beginning of the show. Egbuka is showing why he's the future for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the offense has been struggling so bad. I don't want to start him either. Scary Terry McLaurin is fine, but he's also playing against a tough Philly defense, and Tampa Bay's secondary cannot stop a stop sign. So if you have to flex one here, I'm going Tetaroa McMillan here.
Yeah, it's looking like he's going to play. It's not a scary matchup. They've been giving up a lot. Basically, if the matchup isn't, terrible, I like Tet a lot. Egbuka, I keep wanting to go Egbuka. I'm so close to saying Egbuka. It would be Egbuka for me over Terry, just because I trust Egbuka more. But I'm gonna go Tet here. He's healthy, was claimed healthy, decent matchup. It's a team that can put up points on the Panthers too. Like there's an argument for some points being put up here potentially. So I'm gonna go Tet here or T-Mac.
The NFC South has a lot more at stake in this case, so you can definitely count on the Buccaneers and Panthers to be playing their asses off so that they can clinch that division. And the Panthers are super hungry for it too. They have been embarrassing their NFC South opponents when keeping games a lot closer and beating them when they should not. The Panthers are looking a lot better. McMillan is him. I think he's definitely the stud that the Panthers are going to be thrilled to have for the future for Bryce Young. So I'm going him. Galaxy Pickers, you have a great holiday too. Thank you so much for tuning in. I blame Pierce. I hope that agreeing on T-Mac helps you out here. Wishing you for the best too.
Love it. Dr. Ken got another one for us. Looks like we already touched on it a little bit, but we'll finish it off here. Are we really trusting Estime? We'll get most of the work and should be a good flex.
What does most even mean in this case? Like 10 carries versus 3? Like, I don't really give a shit how much work Estime gets because even against a bad Jets defense, it's not going to be that good to the point where you have to prioritize him. So I am not saying he's a good flex. I think he is a reasonable flex if you are riddled with injuries and you cannot start anybody else. But I'm not prioritizing Estime, and I stand by that.
Dr. Ken, let me clarify here because I scouted Estime pretty heavily. I know more about him than I want to. And I'm a big Kyron guy because Notre Dame. I got a soft spot for my guys from Notre Dame. I like him a lot, man. But here's the thing: Estime can't catch passes. It's not his thing. Devin Neal can catch passes. So will he get most of the work? Absolutely. If I were to give the straw man case for Audric Estime, it's that he is a bruiser. And this is a team that can lean into that, where he's a guy that he can find a way to get 4 yards a carry. He can find a way to move the chains. I think he's a decent rusher of the football. He's just limited in scope and what he can do, right? And he's not really threatening in the same way that like a well-rounded guy like Devin Neal can, right? So because you are pretty much leaning on a pure rushing total, I mean, I would be surprised. 2 targets is the tops of what he gets in my book, right? That's kind of putting him at like Kyle Monungai with a lower red zone chance. So I just don't think it's enough. It's enough upside, right? It is a decent matchup, and I think he's going to get. I actually think he's probably going to get 65-70% of the carries. I think it's more than 60-40 is what I think. He will dominate carries, in my opinion. But I think somebody else is going to get the receiving work. It's just not it's not as good of a good matchup. I think
It's going to be Evan Hull, and we're going to hate it.
Yeah, well, like let me give you a comparison, right? Like I actually like the Michael Carter as a play for the Cardinals because he's a guy that always gets 4 to 5 targets in addition to his very mediocre run game. But if you were telling me, right, Michael Carter, would you really consider Michael Carter as even a pickup if he was just flat out not involved in the passing game? I don't think so. I think we'd look at him as like not even a 10-point a game guy. We look at him as more 8. So it's the pass catching ability from these. What are we going to do? The team's got to do something. You just got to be out there on third down in addition to some of the runs. And
speaking of Michael Carter, can I tell you something wild?
Yeah.
So Dr. Ken, this goes into his next question, pivoting off of Ashton Jeanty against the Houston Texans. You know what's crazy? The Arizona Cardinals also have a trash offensive line just like the Raiders. Michael Carter, on 80% of the snaps, went 14 for 56 against Houston and caught 4 or 4 passes for 38. He actually did well against Houston's tough defense. So in an ideal world, I would say no, I don't want to pivot off of Ashton Jeanty, but being that the Raiders seem to be completely clueless on how to even use Ashton Jeanty, even with Chip Kelly fired, I can see why he would ask the question. I would say I'm not rushing to pivot off of Jeanty, but I would not be opposed to it. What do you think, Kendall?
Yeah, I mean, I'm asking myself the question. Were there some guys where I'm like, how many lineups do I got to set today and look at them again? Like it's just one of those like, do yourself a favor, don't overthink it. I am thinking about it with him, but let me get like the simple way that I'm framing it for me is Jeanty is a pass catching weapon for this team. He's a
yes, he is.
Holistic weapon. He's had games where they're looking for him multiple times as a receiver in the red zone, right? So scary defense, low implied team point total, all those things, right? Relatively disappointing season. These are all valid points, right? But the fact is, he plays the position with the highest chance to get touches in the most valuable places of the field, the red zone, right? And they're just using him everywhere. So, I think you're not excited. You're only looking to pivot off of him if your lineup is so stacked where you're in that, like, I've got a team or two that's in the playoffs right now where Jeanty is my second flex, right? I'm looking between like Harold Fannin. It's a 0.25 tight end premium. I've got Wandale, right? I've got a bevy of pretty good tight ends. I'm looking at Xavier Worthy with Rice out, right? I'm looking at like, dude, my flex 1 and 2 is just chalky, bro. Like it's, like I barely made the playoffs, but I'm going to put a seismic hurting on this league, forever forgetting I was in the league. This was the like, hey, you forgot the analyst is here. I'm going to beat the shit out of all of you. I came back for a vengeance, man. I'm going to get personal. I'm going to win this damn league. That's where I'm looking at that situation in a typical standard, your average 12-team league. Not really. You're trying to get too clever at that point in time, right? I'll give you one example here, Evan, right? Like, one of the like, man, we've been super in and super out and then back in on them. It's the Denver wide receiver too. I just like blanked on his name here, but there's guys that can kind of really run hot and cold. When they're running hot, you think about them. It's Ashton Jeanty. You're gonna go Jeanty here. He might disappoint you, but there are a few people in your flex that have a 22 plus point ceiling as a ceiling in general. You got to go for it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you too. I'm not benching Jeanty over Ramondre Stevenson, Kimani Vidal. Those are now backup running backs who are going to see inconsistent volume. Vidal has been seeing like lead back volume for the past couple of games, but they want to make sure they don't damage and ruin Omarion Hampton in the NFL period. Hampton will definitely start to see an uptick in volume being that he just came back from a major fracture. They don't want to ruin this poor kid. So 16 and 17, I think they're going to get Hampton a lot more involved. Vidal, I don't want to trust anymore as an option. Stevenson, no thank you. I don't care how much work he gets alongside Travion Henderson. I got to go Genty here. Because if Michael Carter can make the Texans defense look a bit silly, so can Genty. Even though it's the Raiders, they suck. I get it, but they got nothing to lose. They're going to roll Genty out there.
Yep. Love it. Hey, Galaxy Pickers, just to finish up, I'm sorry I couldn't throw this on screen when you were talking about it. I like that you were thinking about it too, that the incentive idea does not get enough play. It's really a dynasty only conversation, but it should get talked about more as a redraft. Just think about it. It's not talked up. This is one of those I would love for one of the statistics based shows with a team I really, really trust. I love the guys over at ETR. If they want to run some models on this, I would trust them quite a bit. I hope they do at some point in time, this incentive idea thing. Evan, maybe you know of somebody here.
Shout out Establish the Run. We love you over there, especially because they have an Evan over there too, which is a great name.
That they do, man. Yeah, if we ever get a chance to even be in their circle of influence, I'm such a fan of what they do, who they are, day in, day out. Great people over there. But I like you don't have to be a stats-based guy. If you want to be Manalytics versus analytics, it's good to have differing takes. But I think if you want a show where they're players, they're ballers, but they lean towards the stat model, I think it's a good place to learn. So hey, we shouted other cool shows, man, because we're hanging on here. We're friends. There's better professionals, but we're glad you're here with us. Interesting idea. Diggs for me. Diggs is doing the team a favor. The team's not doing him a favor. I really feel like that team is on a different level, and it's also old school Vrabel. He will award his senior players, but I don't think this is payback Diggs time. This is the Diggs. Do you want to be part of something special? Because something special hasn't happened yet. It's happening. It's got to keep happening, right? I don't think that team even remotely goes that direction because they're beyond playoff bound. They're hoping to be Super Bowl bound. So they have to stay locked into a mindset that very few of us ever experienced days where you're that, pressure filled, right? I just don't think they're that way with Diggs just yet. If they win more, right? If they get to a point where it's like this game's a throwaway, maybe we can get Diggs over the hump, then we're there. It's too thin. There's too many games that matter. They just lost. That's going to be hanging over them more than getting Diggs fed. I think keeping Diggs healthy is more important than keeping Diggs hitting his incentives, I think, to be honest with you too.
Sure.
So just wanted to bring that up real quick. Let's get into some more start sit questions here. And then because it is one of those, hey, we're pretty much all title bound here. We're not going to get super crazy amounts of questions. So maybe we can finish this out, have a talk or two, maybe call it a night. So last call, so to speak, from the tavern here. Get your questions in. If not, throw them in the Discord. We're going to get to them. World of Jesus. By the way, if you can give us a quick phonetic on that too, man, hop in the chat. Let us know. I hate getting names wrong. I wish we want to be friends here. I want to get to know you. I want to be someone that's not pronouncing your name wrong. We're happy you're here. But World of, would you drop Rashee Rice for DJ Moore? Chiefs play Denver next, which is the last week of fantasy for me.
No. Do not start.
Yeah.
Do not drop Rashee Rice at this point. He's ruled out with a concussion against the Tennessee Titans for Week 16. Players usually only need like 1 week to get over concussion symptoms, and if the symptoms persist, which becomes a big neurological problem at that point, which they need extra rest, then go ahead and drop him. But right now, there's no reason to drop Rice. Go ahead. I hope you have an IR slot in your league, so go ahead and stick him in there. If DJ Moore is on your waiver wire, please go get him. But at the same time, if you're stashing like 2 quarterbacks in a 1 quarterback league or 2 defenses in a 1 defense league, like go ahead and drop one of those for DJ Moore. You don't need to hold on to multiple defenses because they're just too much of a dart throw to make it worth your while. So yeah, I'm grabbing DJ Moore if you got him.
I'd like to know the rest of your lineup, actually. And I think maybe you shared it with us. Maybe we can look up here.
I mean, he kind of did. Yeah, they kind of did, but
Yeah, is this the Travion Michael Wilson lineup?
Yes.
Yeah, because this is where he lost Rashee, he lost Mahomes.
And then Achane and Chase Brown is the first 2 running backs.
This lineup is stacked. Okay, here, because Evan, I was thinking in my head, like 9 times out of 10, this is absolutely not. He may have a point here. Only because when I look at his lineup, he needs to flex one between T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson, and Wandale, and this is without Rashee Rice. So
Yeah.
if you get Rashee Rice into the lineup, you're getting Rashee in over a presumably healthy T. Higgins, a healthy JJ, and a healthy Wandale. I don't know going against the Broncos defense with God knows how Gardner Minshew looks this weekend, or the chance that they just shut Rashee Rice down because they could have, that the Chiefs could have a top 10 pick. Like they're sitting at pick number 12 right now, but they're a team that has a winning culture. They don't need to win games. Who was talking about this earlier? I think was it Colin Coward? Maybe. I try to source the guys. I watch a lot of content, guys. I promise. I sample a lot. I try to give it when I'm sampling here. There's enough of a chance where I don't think it's crazy actually. I'm not saying it's like the world's best move, but I'm definitely playing DJ Moore this week in what I think is a pretty decent matchup. Caleb's finding him a lot. They're drawing up stuff for him. It's 2 weeks in a row they would have schemed up for him in advance. In a team that lost their best pass rusher. I like DJ Moore this week. I don't know about next week. Rome is day-to-day, week-to-week. It's a bad injury. We presume Burden should be back. I'm really just trying to Evan, I'm just trying to think here that it's not as crazy as I thought it would be, only because if you tell me Rashee Rice is 100% healthy next week, I don't know that he's in the lineup. It's not Mahomes.
I don't want to think that far ahead without seeing the rest of their team, being that, like I said, if you're holding an extra quarterback or an extra defense, you really don't need to. Just go ahead and drop one of them to make sure that you get to hold on to Rashee Rice and go get DJ Moore, because DJ Moore is going to have the better upside compared to that defense or the quarterback that you're just going to have on the bench anyway that you can't start. So that would be a pointless hold.
I think his point is like, I'm definitely not playing Rashee Rice and DJ Moore next week. He's only going to play one of them because look at his lineup, right? So he's saying,
but that's fine.
I'm going to pick up one. His team's too good to play this week. So he's picking up, it's keeping one of these guys for potentially flexing them next week. So he's never playing both in any situation ever, essentially, unless his whole team goes down, which he just loses. I guess I'm with you. Yeah. If you're not playing DJ Moore this week, and he's not, I keep thinking to myself that he's playing DJ Moore this week, and he's not. DJ Moore is a bench player this week, in which case I think if Rashee Rice plays next week, and who knows if anyone else in the team's healthy. Yeah, I'm with you, Evan. I'm actually keeping Rashee Rice. DJ Moore, week to week, that passing offense, it's not enough upside. DJ Moore is not playing above Wandale ever. And because of that fact, it's not happening for me.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right, we got there. I lost my place. I had to go back up. Let's get back down here to
Bryce. We also got Bryce B83, who I grabbed from our Discord server. Glad you could join the show, buddy. I'll read it this time. Please pick one wide receiver and one flex in a half PPR league. Jordan Addison at New York Giants. Troy Franklin versus Jacksonville. Jalen Coker versus Tampa Bay. Khalil Shakir at Cleveland. Audric Estime versus New York Jets. And Chuba Hubbard versus Tampa Bay. I'm going Addison and Estime.
Addison and Estime. Okay, first in for me is oddly Estime here. I'm pretty into that just as like a safe spot there. I don't think I'm going to go Addison because I'm really in on that narrative where they're going to hyper target. I think Addison's going to get left for dead. He doesn't have to be, but it's a narrative I'm really leaning into. I don't have to lean into it. I'm choosing to. Franklin versus Jacksonville is really interesting. I'm not going Coker Tampa Bay. I think it's like he's playing really good, so we want to stay in the flames, but I hate that passing offense. Sometimes I've been sitting Tetterone McMillan. I can't in good conscience play Coker when I'm sometimes sitting Tet, for the reason being I don't trust Bryce with the passing offense, despite the good matchup. It just feels risky. It just really feels risky. Shakir honestly feels more of a sure thing than Coker against Cleveland, who doesn't care anymore. The Bears beat the absolute shit out of him, and Shakir should be better. So Estime 1, I'm between Franklin and Shakir. I'm just talking about it out loud. Very hit or miss both ways. This is going to sound kind of obscene, but I actually think that the Buffalo Bills are going to beat the Cleveland Browns so badly that Shakir is going to have some free stuff in there. I'm going to go Shakir Estime. Estime for sure, though. The second one, honestly,
Yeah.
coin flip for me. The second one is so close between everyone. It's like you can't go wrong there.
I never like starting any Buffalo Bills wide receivers for the exact same reason I don't like starting Green Bay Packers wide receivers. And that's just because both teams spread the ball too much among their wide receivers to where none of them are going to be fantasy friendly. It's just whoever gets the hot hand, whoever gets open, and it just, the game script changes it so much for their wide receivers. So it's tough to get me to want to start Shakir, but I can understand it if Dalton Kincaid is not 100% because they're going to have to throw the ball to somebody else.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing the like. I think the Bills put up 30 points on this team, and I'm saying I'm picking a pass catcher among those 30 points that might get involved. Where I don't Franklin and the Jets. I already told you I think this could be a field goal contest, right? And my take on Addison and the Jets is I just really think they're going to hyper target their wide receiver one. I'm leaning that take, so I'm going for correlation with my take here is all. I understand I'm going with the spicy variance filled take versus maybe a more even keeled one. So context. But hey, Bryce, happy to have you. Bryce, if you're not in our Discord, by the way, I'll throw a link here out to it, man. We just love to build the community up a little bit. We answer just as many questions in the Discord as we answer here.
I actually pulled him from our Discord. He's already in it.
He's already in there. Oh, what am I saying? I've seen him in the Discord. I was literally looking at it earlier. There you go.
Yeah.
I
agree with you too, Bryce, that Addison is not ideal, but it's a good matchup against the Giants defense that can't stop the pass, and it should be a lot easier for J.J. McCarthy to duke it out versus Jackson Dart, who I could see this being a high-scoring game for both teams. I mean, as much as I usually fear that Minnesota Vikings defense because they have Brian Flores as their DC, they just don't have enough talent that makes me believe that they're going to do anything to stop the Giants' offense.
Yeah, I kind of agree more often than not. It's a weird spot. I think there's more variance in these games where how hard is the team going to play? Who are they going to use? That sort of thing. I think they can get pretty silly. I don't study this quite as well as I should. These when the games matter less, what ends up happening. Yeah, tough call. I think there's some wisdom in what you're doing. It sounds like a safe bet, but we'll have to see. If I thought about it more, you might twist my arm.
So I wanted to also mention one more thing about the New York Jets shut down Garrett Wilson for the season. Garrett Wilson was not exactly a popular start, one, because of the team name that he's associated with. The Jets suck, so therefore he loses popularity, and people think that his talent doesn't matter because, well, the quarterback sucks, so therefore the wide receiver is useless. And the Justin Jefferson shit is what's making people believe in that narrative. It's a unique situation that the Minnesota Vikings are going through where you could stick in a lot of backup quarterbacks and they're going to feed the top wide receiver the football. Even when Justin Fields was throwing the football, Garrett Wilson was getting peppered mighty great when he was healthy enough to get out there. So, Breece Hall, I would not be surprised if he leaves the Jets, but Garrett Wilson is definitely there to stay. How hard are you going to be pushing Garrett Wilson next season, too?
I can't quit him, dude. I can't. He's my example of dude, just watch the game. He's so good. He is such a good wide receiver. And I don't mean did you see the catch? I'm like, he can literally do that on any play. He shouldn't be open, by the way. He should be able to be covered on every play. But ask yourself, why is JSN getting behind? Like you see Jamar Chase's little quote, little post on X earlier where he was watching JSN play, and he commented hey, how does he get behind these coverages, man? Can't be stopped. Justin Jefferson is with Justin Fields throwing in the ball, who is leads the NFL in first read rate, right? If I'm the DC going against Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson, are we even having a meeting? Guys, you got one job. Literally couldn't give a shit what else we do. He's going to throw the ball to that guy. I don't care if the rest of the team is standing in the end zone open in Hawaiian t-shirts. Fields will not see him because he hasn't ever. We're Bears fans. We know, okay? He's invisible to anybody else. And yet, how many of those games were serviceable? Right? When he should have been blanked. Tedero McMillan, with bad quarterback play. Still has a job, not that bad, right? Had what? Like literally the other day when we said to sit him, he only salvaged his day because he caught one pass for a touchdown, right? That's what bad quarterback play does. When you're an elite NFL wide receiver, defenses just aren't good enough. And Garrett Wilson is better than good defenses. He's a guy I'll still play against Houston. I'll play him against Denver. He's that guy, right? You fix that quarterback room a little bit. My God, I mean, he's a guy where like the floor is Amon-Ra on a bad day, right? That's a good floor to have.
Can I can I ask about another Ohio State wide receiver that a lot of people kept sleeping on?
Can I try to guess who it is?
Yeah. Let's see if you can guess. One of his teammates. Chris Olave.
Yes!
Chris Olave was practically free in a lot of fantasy football drafts this year. He's currently sitting at wide receiver 8 in PPR leagues. 8! That's how good he's been this year, with just so practically invisible quarterback play between Spencer Rattler sucking and Tyler Shugg actually starting to make some waves. Tyler Shugg is not playing that bad.
Yeah, I mean, he's like almost 30, which is crazy.
Well, he's 26. That's not almost 30, but he is an older rookie. But Tyler Shugg is not playing terrible. He's actually serviceable out there. I mean, yeah, he's thrown 5 interceptions in just like 8 games, but that's not too shabby for a rookie on a really bad offense.
Dude, he looks better than a lot of NFL quarterbacks. He looks better than Geno. He looks better than before he got injured. What's his face? Atlanta.
Michael Penix.
Yeah, it looked better than Penix. Dude, there's just a decent number of guys he looked better than. He's got that dog, that rush in him.
Dude.
Like, I don't know. There's something to like just play more snaps in college. Just these rookies that come out without much experience are just, I mean, they're terrible, man. Like they're not ready. These old guys who get dogged in the draft process because they're old. It's like, yeah, okay, I get it. Grain of salt. If they're older, they should be more physically ready. They should be better. But then it's like, when that happens, why are we surprised? Right? Like I've been a little like slightly. I like RJ Harvey, but I'm tempering expectations because he is 24. He was playing as an older, more physical running back in college compared to some younger people. So I've tempered expectations. But it's like, look, man, at quarterback, experience matters more than any other position. You got to know that like having that little bit extra, it clearly showed. Like Tyler Shugg as a rookie, significantly different profile than these other rookies who are like, what are you doing? That doesn't look like football.
Can I also mention something else too?
Yeah.
Tyler Shugg is looking better than Tua Tagovailoa and Kyler Murray, which is probably not that crazy of a take considering that both of those guys are now benched. But Tyler Shugg is not looking that bad. I'm sorry, I keep saying Shugg. It's Shuck. It's pronounced Shuck. I'm sorry.
Dude, it happens. If you say it one time one way, it's hard to get back.
Yeah,
way,
but
sure,
Tyler Shugg is not looking bad for being an older rookie. Where you were just talking about how he got the older, the more reps in college. That's good development at Louisville, and then he comes into the Saints under a Kellen Moore offense, and he's not looking. Kellen Moore wanted him for a reason. Moore believed that Shugg was NFL ready, and he's looking good behind a really terrible football team.
I mean, what a luxury! If you're them, you take Shugg, right? You're almost planning on having to take another quarterback, but you just got to start stacking them. They might have the luxury of saying, "Dude, I don't know that we need to, man. I think we can roll with Shugg and we can get ourselves a guy we're going to have for 10 years." You know, like it's Shugg hitting is so huge for that team. Like they needed a break and they got it with Shugg. Like they can build around him. He'll be free forever and they can build around this capable player. You know, it's not it's a weak version of what Denver's doing. Nick's had a lot of snaps, right? But that maturity makes him super coachable. Him coming out of halftime with a coach that knows how to make halftime adjustments is a huge X factor, especially in the playoffs, right? So yeah, give me these quarterbacks that are a little older, man. I'm into Shugg.
Bo Nix is 25 right now. He was 24 as a rookie. He's another example of an older rookie who's actually doing really well, even though on TV he looks like he's struggling. He's in a sophomore slump. He's not throwing 4 touchdowns every single game, but he doesn't need to because what he's doing right now is working for the Denver Broncos, even if it's not always QB1 volume fantasy football friendly. And he just threw 4 touchdown passes against the Green Bay Packers, which is hilarious that the Packers were just about getting ready to lose to. Actually, wait, the Broncos did beat them. The Broncos did beat the Packers, which is hilarious to me. But anyway, yeah, that's like what we were saying. Like, everybody was dogging Bo Nix because he's an Oregon quarterback. He's 24 coming out of college. I don't remember if Oregon likes to run more than they pass, but yeah, Bo Nix is the guy. I think a lot of people were wrong about him.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I'm not the anti-Bo Nix guy. Okay, there's guys that I hate, and I think a lot of people know who I dislike. I just think when Nix, like, I'm a Dynasty guy, and everyone like rushed to anoint Nix as this next best thing. I get it. I was an Anthony Richardson. I shouldn't be in this conversation. That's fine. I am ready to admit when I am super, super wrong. The theory made a little bit of sense, though. I just think Bo Nix is like good, not great. But I hate that everyone's calling him great right away. And I'm like, he's good, though. He's not great. And he's good because he's experienced and coachable and he can do things faster than these other quarterbacks. But I do think his ceiling is right there, right? Like Bo Nix and Caleb Williams are different species. All right. Bo Nix will forever dream about doing things that Caleb Williams does. It's not a fair comparison. But you put a good team around, good weapons, good coaching, you're going to do some good things, but you got to be experienced. We've seen rookies do nothing with good coaching. He's
Absolutely.
No.
Sean Payton wanted him for a reason, and he's showing why he wanted him so badly. And yeah, Bo Nix doesn't have to play the same as Caleb Williams to be considered an elite quarterback. I'm not ready to crown any 2024 rookie quarterback as elite yet, because you really got to wait a couple of seasons to let them develop a bit and then see what they offer the NFL after that, which is, I'm not going to write off Bo Nix. I'm not going to write off Michael Penix. I'm not going to write off Caleb Williams. I'm not ready to write anybody off until they've put in 2 full seasons.
Yep. I'm with you there. Definitely with you. Lost my space in chat. Well, hey, looks like we got through all the questions. Evan, totally up to you. Is there any burning topics, players, takes, anything settled on the mind you want to get to?
We pretty much covered everything that I had mentioned before the show, but the one thing I'll mention too is that in addition to the Saints running backs not being guys I ever want to start, I still do not want to start anybody from that Commanders backfield, whether it's Jeremy McNichols or Bill Krosky-Merritt. Chris Rodriguez might be missing a little bit of time. Even when Rodriguez was healthy, I did not want to start him, period, unless I just need a cheap option at running back in a DFS lineup. But outside of that, I don't want to start any Commanders or Saints running backs.
Yeah, I'd say JCM, Bill, as the kids are calling him these days. Dude, he's just a different version of Audric Estime. Did he really
burn?
He really is.
Take that, Bill lovers.
He doesn't catch passes. I mean, yeah, he does average a nice yards per carry. He can tote the rock, but one-dimensional toting the rock is just not like an NFL skill set anymore, if that makes sense. Like it was a couple years ago. It doesn't seem to be super in fashion. The mobility of the quarterbacks, the ability to use fullbacks, the jet sweep. There's just a lot of options in the modern tool bag, and these bullish, like I can just go get it when I need to running backs, they have not been seeing success in mass for quite some time. So Bill, with the amount of passing work he's getting, he's just a full no for me. You got to have some pass catching chops, and he ain't that guy. Jeremy McNichols eating his lunch every time it's ever happened is it's a statement. So I'm surprised this week it fits perfectly for my random analogy, because Audric Estime is being talked up this week. Just like, Bill came through last week, right? But like the body of work, I ain't there for me. I'm with you on that.
Shall we answer one more question from Bryce while we got him here?
You know what? We shall. Mr. Bryce, why don't you read this one out, Evan?
Pick one. Knicks versus Jacksonville. Dart versus Minnesota. Stroud versus Las Vegas. I think it might be between Knicks and Stroud. I currently roster Knicks and Dart. At this point in the season, I wouldn't say you need to roster any other quarterback outside of Knicks if he's going to be the one starting all the time. I can certainly see the case for Dart, being that he carries massive rushing upside where oftentimes he has to take it to the house because the Giants are just such a bad freaking offense. I'm sure Classic Mike would agree with us on that part. But I'm going to stick with Knicks here, and I mean, if it's a one quarterback league, I wouldn't say you have to keep Dart unless you really, really have
4 or 6
nobody
point, by the
better
way?
on the wire.
This does matter here for me a little bit, particularly with Stroud. Is it 4 or 6 point passing touchdown? Evan, does that change anything for you?
No, I don't usually get too hung up on the 4 or 6 passing point per touchdown pass. Touchdowns are too fluid for me to care about them as much. I just want to go off of passing volume because at least we know Bo Nix is capable of throwing more than 35 times.
Yep.
And that's not to say Jackson Dart won't, but those games are fewer and far between because he has to get it done with his legs.
Yeah, no, fair point.
And if he doesn't fall in the end zone, he's basically a mid QB2 guy.
So you're Knicks, right?
I am all in on Knicks in this case.
Yeah. I am not a Knicks fan. I'm still Knicks in this particular spot. The reasons here are Minnesota, I think, is an underrated defensive unit. I like them. I think the Giants have been slightly overperforming in some cases, but Dart carries elevated risk week to week. I mean, they're not performing offensively like a team that lost their generational wide receiver one. They're really doing a lot of work. I mean, Wandale's earning his keep. Theo Johnson is earning his keep. Tyrone Tracy, to his credit, is earning his keep in a place in the roster in an NFL where he might not be wanted for all that long. But I think it is recognizably overperforming versus what is to come. And Dart, he box score hunted last week very well. If you watch the game, most of those points were back weighted towards the third and fourth quarters in particular. He was having a really rough first half. That game did not have to finish the way it did. And he also did rush a bit more than I anticipated with the concussion stuff. So I'm going to shade Dart a little bit towards some of the unfavorable outcomes. Right. And I think just it's important, just while if I'm going to answer a question, might as well give you some sort of an interesting take here. Not because I have to, but if I'm going to shade a player, right, sometimes it's just I have to shade a range of outcomes because something's prevalent. I'm not saying Dart's not capable of sealing outcomes, but you got to start shading it like a sports book will, where there's just enough that's pushing it one direction. This is poker; it's incomplete information. I've got enough where I can start to put some points against him. Stroud's good. It's hard to predict when that offense is going to pop and for what reason. Their defense can beat teams. Their offense doesn't need to do a lot. I do think they're going to steamroll Las Vegas. I don't think that needs to be on the offensive side of the ball. Their offensive line can be beaten by any defensive line. And that can lend itself to just not an offensive performance. Or the Texans are like the perfect team for like a random person to get the touchdowns versus the guys you want. Because sometimes that's how it can go. So for a lot of these reasons, I'm basically highlighting inconsistencies, and Nix has given us very little reason to doubt that he has a ceiling and floor combo that's a little more reliable, and he's not getting injured when he runs with his legs. So the chances he can do it more on the goal line are significantly elevated. Give me Bo Nix.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's about all I got on this. So Kendall, to close us out, what wonderful promotions do we have for the people?
We don't have anything too crazy, actually. I've got to work on our verbiage a little bit. YouTube actually dinged one of our affiliated channels with we mentioned some of us said sports betting in the wrong thing, and so one of us got a warning because we mentioned sports betting the wrong way. So got some learning to do to figure out how to get YouTube's AI stuff off my back. But things to take note of. One, if you're out of the playoffs, we are going to be going into off-season content pretty soon. It's exciting. It's what we like to do. We're draft nuts over here. So I'd say there's never been a better time to get into our Discord. It's a good time to get familiar with us, figure out what analysts you like for what. Good time to get to know our Dynasty folks over here. We're going to be doing more Dynasty content. I think me and Evan are going to be doing some Dynasty stuff coming up here real soon. Not live, more pre-recorded, but it's still going to be good stuff, right? So watch it when you can. Hop in the Discord. We can chat it out a little bit. So that's to be coming up. We're going to be pretty Dynasty focused. It's more of where I'm at. It's more where Phil's at. I know Evan loves Dynasty. So we'll be looking to start talking about the rookie class, upcoming draft picks. So if you like us, if you like what you hear, you play Dynasty fantasy football, we're at a place where we're not answering 10,000 questions. We're not there yet. So we can give you pretty good attention if you want a little bit of a roster breakdown, what we do with your team in the offseason, that type of stuff. Really good time for it. So good place to join us. And we'll be doing way too early rookie mock drafts, that type of content coming up soon. So I don't know. Other than that, I just wish everyone a great weekend. Hope you guys, good luck to all of those that are still alive. Keep fighting. Get those questions in. Other than that, just really hope everyone has just a wonderful rest of their day, rest of their night, rest of their weekend. And Evan, can't wait to do this again with you soon.
You know it.
You guys all have a wonderful rest of the night. Hug your kids, call your parents. I will talk to you guys very soon. Cheers.